Buckle up, everybody, because today we're going deep into the crazy world of crypto.
Yeah, it's a wild ride out there.
It really is. Every week there's a new headline about Bitcoin going to the moon, or some government crackdown, or some coin I've literally never even heard of suddenly exploding in value.
It's hard to keep up with.
Exactly. And that's why we're here today, to cut through all the hype and get to the bottom of what's really going on.
You've got a lot to unpack for sure.
Yeah, we do. From political figures getting involved with crypto to some major shakeups at the SEC. And of course, we'll be looking at specific coins that are making waves.
Sounds like a plane.
Okay, let's kick things off with something a little unexpected. Donald Trump. You know, the former president, he's been saying some interesting things about crypto lately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remember how he used to be pretty skeptical of Bitcoin?
Uh-huh.
Well, recently he's actually come out in support of digital assets. He's been talking it up at rallies.
That's a pretty big shift.
Right. So it's got everyone wondering, what would a pro-crypto Trump administration actually look like?
Yeah, would it just be talk, or would he actually push for some crypto-friendly laws?
That's the million-dollar question. What kind of impact could that have on the industry?
Well, one big thing could be the regulations. There's a lot of talk about needing clearer regulations to bring in more of the big institutional investors. You know, the ones with the really deep pockets.
Like who?
Well, for example, Caitlin Long, the CEO of Custodia Bank, she's been really pushing for this kind of regulatory clarity. She says it would give these big institutions the confidence they need to jump into the crypto market.
So more clarity equals more big money flowing into crypto. But I've also heard concerns about too much regulation, you know, that it could stifle the creativity and innovation that make crypto so exciting.
Yeah, too much regulation could definitely kill the buzz.
So where's the line? How do we find the right balance?
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Too little regulation, and you've got the Wild West, which can be exciting, but also super risky. Too much regulation, and you risk choking out the whole decentralized spirit of crypto.
Right. It's a tough one. So what are people saying?
Well, some folks are even talking about the possibility of a federal regulatory body specifically for crypto.
Wow, really?
Yeah. The argument is that it could bring more consistency, because right now you've got different rules in different states, and it's all pretty confusing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess the concern is that a crypto-specific regulatory body could get too powerful.
Yeah, there's definitely that worry that it could become too heavy-handed and impose rules that are out of touch with how fast crypto moves and changes.
It's almost like they need people from the crypto world to be involved in those discussions.
Right, like they need to understand the tech and the culture before they start laying down the law.
I think that's a good point. Okay, well, speaking of things that will be interesting to watch unfold, there's another big change on the horizon. Gary Gensler, the current chair of the SEC, is stepping down in 2025.
Oh, well, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And, you know, Gensler has been a controversial figure in the crypto world.
He hasn't exactly been crypto's biggest fan.
Right. He's taken a pretty tough stance with a big emphasis on investor protection and enforcement actions.
So people are thinking this could be a turning point.
Exactly. With a new chair coming in, there's a lot of speculation about whether we might see the SEC soften its approach.
Like maybe take a more collaborative approach.
Exactly. Some people believe that a new chair could bring a more balanced perspective. You know, focus on fostering innovation while still making sure investors are protected.
I mean, it makes sense. Right now, it feels like the SEC and the crypto world are kind of at war.
Yeah, it does. And it doesn't really benefit anyone.
Not really. There are some voices in the crypto community that are actually advocating for more cooperation. The right leadership at the SEC could create an environment where regulators and crypto companies actually work together to shape the future of the industry.
That'd be pretty big change.
It would. But it's definitely possible. So Gensler leaving could be a big turning point. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
It's like a whole new chapter is about to begin.
Okay, let's move away from regulations for a bit and zoom in on a specific coin that's been making headlines lately. XRP, I've been seeing a lot about increased activity on the XRP Ledger, with some people even claiming it's a sign of wider adoption. What's your take?
XRP. It's always an interesting one. There's definitely been an uptick in activity, particularly when it comes to transaction speed. We call that velocity in the crypto world.
Velocity. So things are moving faster on the XRP Ledger.
Yep. But here's the thing. As with all things crypto, it's important to look beyond the headlines and really dig into the data. Meaning there's more to the story than just faster transactions.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, there was a really interesting article by Gino Matos in CryptoSleep. He pointed out that while velocity has increased, total deposits on the XRP Ledger have actually dropped quite a bit, actually, almost 20% in recent weeks. Wait, so more transactions but less money overall? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it all comes down to the difference between velocity and actual adoption. Velocity just measures how quickly transactions are happening. It doesn't tell us about the actual value being transferred.
So it's like a highway. You can have cars speeding down the highway, but that doesn't tell you anything about what's inside the cars.
Exactly. It's all about context.
Okay, so just because transactions are happening faster doesn't mean more people are using XRP.
Right. To gauge true adoption, we need to look at other things, like the number of active addresses and the overall transaction volume. Basically, are more people actually using XRP for its intended purpose?
So in this case, the increased velocity is interesting, but it's not the whole story.
You got it. We need to look at the bigger picture to figure out if this is a real trend or just a temporary blip.
You know, it's like trying to understand the health of a forest. You wouldn't just look at how fast the wind is blowing through the trees. You'd look at how the trees are growing, the diversity of the plants and animals, the whole ecosystem.
That's a great analogy. It's about taking a holistic view.
And that's what we try to do here on the show, right?
Hey.
Get the full picture. Speaking of which, let's switch gears to something that has the potential to really bridge the gap between traditional finance and the blockchain world. Stablecoins. I'm hearing about a new stablecoin called RLUSD that's launching in select markets. What's the deal with this one?
So RLUSD is what we call a fiat-backed stablecoin, which basically means its value is pegged to a traditional currency like the US dollar.
So unlike Bitcoin, which is known for its wild price swings, RLUSD is designed to stay stable.
Exactly. And that makes it a lot more appealing to people who are hesitant about all the volatility in the crypto market.
I can see that. So could this be the thing that finally gets more people using crypto?
It has the potential. Imagine being able to use a digital currency that's as stable as the dollar, but with all the benefits of blockchain technology, like faster transactions and lower fees.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Right. And it could have a huge impact on the whole issue of volatility, which is a major concern for a lot of people who are thinking about investing in crypto.
So RLUSD is definitely one to watch.
Absolutely. It's still early days, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the verge of something huge here.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. You know, we were talking about regulations earlier, and it seems like that's a big topic these days. Like, the crypto world and the government are on this collision course.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest issues facing crypto right now.
Yeah.
You've got this tension between the crypto community that wants to be free from traditional financial systems and the regulators who are trying to protect investors and keep everything stable.
It's like two different worlds colliding.
Yeah, and finding that sweet spot, that balance between those two forces is going to be crucial if crypto is going to succeed in the long term.
So how do we bridge that gap? Is it even possible?
It's a tough question, but I think it is possible. But it requires both sides to be willing to talk to each other, to compromise, and to really try to understand the potential of this technology.
So it's not about being pro-regulation or anti-regulation. It's about finding some kind of middle ground.
Exactly. A middle ground that allows the industry to grow and innovate, but also protects people and the financial system as a whole.
That makes a lot of sense. So are you seeing any signs of that happening? Like, are those conversations actually taking place?
I think we are starting to see some progress. Regulators are realizing that being too heavy-handed could actually backfire. It could stifle innovation and push crypto underground.
And nobody wants that.
Right. And on the other side, the crypto community is realizing that some level of regulation is probably necessary to build trust and encourage wider adoption.
So maybe we're heading towards a more cooperative relationship between the two.
Maybe. We're starting to see people on both sides realizing that they need each other.
That's a good sign. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little more down to earth, the performance of specific coins. We talked about XRP, but there are literally thousands of other cryptocurrencies out there.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It really is. So for someone who's new to all this, it can feel incredibly overwhelming. Where do you even begin?
I'd say start with the basics.
Yeah.
Learn about blockchain technology and how it works. Then start to familiarize yourself with the different types of cryptocurrencies.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's so many coins out there. How do you narrow it down?
Well, that's where research comes in. Don't just jump on the latest hype train. Take the time to understand what a coin is actually trying to do. What problem is it solving? Does it have real-world applications?
So it's about looking beyond the price and trying to understand the underlying value.
Exactly. Investing in crypto shouldn't just be about trying to make a quick buck. It should be about supporting projects that you believe in. Projects that you think could actually make a difference in the world.
I like that. So align your investments with your values. Now, one thing that I think a lot of people are concerned about is the environmental impact of crypto, especially the energy consumption associated with mining.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And it's something that the industry is taking seriously.
So what's being done about it?
Well, a lot of the concern stems from the proof-of-work consensus mechanism that Bitcoin uses. It's very energy intensive.
Proof of work, I've heard that term, but I'm not really sure what it means.
Basically, it means that miners have to use a lot of computing power to verify transactions and secure the network. And that uses a lot of energy.
So is there a way to mine crypto without using so much energy?
Well, there are other consensus mechanisms that are much more energy efficient, like proof of stake.
Proof of stake? What's that?
Instead of miners competing to solve complex problems in proof of stake, validators put up some of their own coins as collateral to participate in the process of verifying transactions.
So they have skin in the game.
Exactly.
Interesting. So is anyone actually using proof of stake?
Yeah. Actually, Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency, switched to proof of stake last year, and it dramatically reduced their energy consumption.
That's great. So it is possible to make crypto more sustainable.
Yeah. And beyond that, there are even projects that are using blockchain technology to directly address environmental challenges.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, for example, some platforms are using blockchain to track carbon emissions and reward companies for adopting sustainable practices.
So crypto can actually be a force for good in the fight against climate change.
It's still early days, but the potential is huge.
I'm really liking this idea of crypto being used for good. Okay, before we wrap up this part of our conversation, I think we need to address the risks of investing in crypto. We've talked a lot about the potential rewards, but there are also some downsides.
Oh, absolutely. Crypto is definitely a high-risk, high-reward asset class.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Definitely not. It's important to be realistic about the risks and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Right. So don't bet the farm on Dogecoin just because you saw a funny meme on Twitter.
Yeah, that's probably a good rule of thumb. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but it's important to make informed decisions and understand your own risk tolerance.
Exactly. And it's not just about financial risk either. There are security risks as well.
Yeah.
Exchanges can be hacked, wallets can be compromised, and there are a lot of scams out there.
So it's important to do your research and choose reputable platforms and wallets.
And to be very careful about who you trust.
Absolutely. Security should be a top priority for anyone who's involved in the crypto world.
It's a bit of a wild west out there, so you need to be smart and protect yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's a good reminder that while crypto has a lot of potential, it's important to approach it with a healthy dose of caution.
I agree. Balance is key.
Balance. That seems to be a theme that keeps coming up.
It's a theme that runs throughout the entire crypto ecosystem. Finding the right balance between innovation and regulation, between risk and reward, between optimism and caution. That's the challenge and the opportunity that we're all facing.
I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
Me too. There's just so much to cover.
The whole universe out there. So we've talked about Trump and the SEC and XRP and stablecoins and all these different trends. But what does it all actually mean for our listener?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that there's no one right answer when it comes to crypto. It's a very personal journey.
Yeah. Everyone has different goals and a different level of risk they're comfortable with.
Exactly. So there's no magic formula, no guaranteed path to riches.
I wish there was.
Right. But the reality is, crypto is still pretty young, and it's volatile. It's not for the faint of heart.
So what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in the crypto world?
I'd say the most important thing is to do your research. Don't get caught up in the hype or the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Right, because it's easy to make impulsive decisions when you see the price of Bitcoin going through the roof.
Exactly. But those gains can disappear just as quickly. So take your time, learn about the technology, understand the risks, and invest responsibly.
Invest responsibly. That's
Yeah.
good advice. So what else? What else should people keep in mind?
Stay informed. The crypto world is constantly changing, so you need to keep up with the latest developments, new technologies, regulations, trends. There are tons of resources out there, news sites, blogs, podcasts, social media groups.
It's a full-time job just keeping up with it all.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the more you know, the better decisions you can make.
So it's about being an active participant, not just a passive observer.
Right. Be curious, ask questions,
Yeah.
experiment, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes, especially in the beginning.
It's all part of the learning process.
Exactly. One thing that I think is really special about the crypto world is the sense of community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a real feeling that we're all in this together. People are passionate about this technology, and they're really eager to help each other out.
That's cool. So it's not just about the money, it's about being part of something bigger.
I think that's true for a lot of people in the crypto space.
It's like a movement.
It is. And that community can be a huge asset, you know, especially if you're just starting out. Don't be afraid to reach out, ask questions, connect with people who share your interests.
Find your tribe.
Yeah, exactly. Because it can be overwhelming trying to navigate this world on your own. So finding a community can make all the difference.
It's like having a support system.
Right. And a source of information and inspiration.
Okay, so we've got invest responsibly, stay informed, find your community. Any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
I'd say just remember why you're here.
Mm.
What drew you to the crypto world in the first place? Was it the technology, the potential for financial freedom, the desire to be part of something truly innovative and disruptive?
It's good to have a North Star.
Yeah, keeping that why in mind will help you stay focused and make decisions that are aligned with your goals and values.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of crypto, I want to leave you with this question. What excites you most about the future of crypto? What are you curious about? What problems do you hope to see this technology solve?
Think big.
Yeah, because who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the next big innovator in the crypto space.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It could be you listening right now. So
What?
keep exploring, keep learning, and keep your eyes on the horizon. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of crypto. We'll see you next time.